And everybody, what's happening? Hope everybody's all right. Hope you like, hope you subscribe, hope you share the channel, push the button for me. The corrupt correctional officer. They're all not corrupt, not at all. I'm not saying that in the slightest. This video is about a particular corrupt correctional officer. I am not going to tell you his name, and I won't even tell you where it transpired, maybe, but I'll just get right into what happened with this guy. This is when I was still, pardon me, I'm dipping. This is when I was still out of control. I was still doing drugs in the prison system. I hadn't calmed down yet. And I was working as one of the porters. So what that would mean is I would be out on the company when most of the other prisoners were locked in their cells, because I would be out sweeping and mopping, doing the garbage, things like that. And I'd run around for the prisoners, and deliver stuff for them to around the facility while they were locked in. And we had an officer who was he was pretty cool. All the prisoners liked him because he didn't go out of his way to mess with anyone, and he had a little hustle going on. See, we were only allowed 2 showers a week. And so guys want to take showers every day. So the officer would actually charge 2 stamps for a shower. If you wanted to take a shower during the evening and it wasn't shower day, you tell me, you'll go ask the officer I could take a shower. I say, give me 2 stamps, 2 postage stamps that go on an envelope. I deliver them to the officer. 18 cell wants to take a shower. Here's 2 stamps. And then he would open 18 cell, let the guy go take a shower. So he would make himself, 40, 50 stamps a night. You know what I mean? A week, forget about it. He's making hundreds and hundreds of stamps a week, and then I don't know what he would do with them. If he would sell them or trade them, who knows what he would do with these stamps that he made. But I think the officer really just wanted to give them a shower anyway, but he figured I got to charge them a little something. You know what I mean? So they don't think I'm a sucker or whatever it was. But he would charge 2 stamps a shower. He would also let us, open cells. If I tell him, can you do me a favor? Open 20 cell. My man wants to clean his cell out. And he would, so he would do things that weren't seriously, these things were against the rules, but he had leeway with us, and everyone knew he was cool. You know what I mean? He'd get extra food for us, things like that. So one day I got to run downstairs, and you're technically not allowed to run from company to company. Let's say you have 41 company, then 42 company, or Q company, and then R company above it. You're not allowed to move from company to company, but sometimes I needed to pick things up on another company, and you're not allowed to do that. So I tell him, do me a favor, let me run downstairs. And he would let us run around, as much as he could. So one day I say to him, I got to go run downstairs and pick up a bowl of food for my buddy. I says, but he knew something was up, So he starts saying to me, now, what do you really have to pick up down there? He said, what do you got to do? You got to pick up some weed? I says, come on, just let me run downstairs and get the bowl of food. He was actually funny. He's smiling when he says it, joking around. He said, what do you got to do? Pick up some dope down there? So Joe say that's what I had to do, is I had to pick up some heroin down there for my buddy. There was a guy down on the flats on the bottom company. He had a few grams of heroin that he had to deliver to one of the guys on my company, and they asked me to go see if I can get down there and pick it up. So I go to the officer and I say, can I go downstairs to pick up a bowl of food? And he says to me, what do you got to do? Pick up some dope? As they say, he hit the nail on the head. So I say to him, yeah, I got to pick up some dope. But I say it sarcastically. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got to pick up some dope. Can I go downstairs and get the bowl of food? He says, if you're going to pick some dope up, make sure you bring back a bag for me. And the way he said it just struck me as, I think this guy is serious. I think he's serious. And so I said, can I run downstairs? Can I go downstairs? He says, yeah, Fish, go ahead. So I run downstairs. He calls the officer downstairs and says, I got Fish coming down there. He's got to pick up a bowl of food from his buddy. That other officer downstairs agrees. All right, send him down. So I run down there and I get to my buddy's cell. He gives me the heroin. I stick it down into my underwear. I tuck it into my underwear. And then I tell my buddy, give me one little loose bag. Give me a little loose bag. It's about $25 in prison for what they call a jail bag of heroin, what they also call a one-on-one. So it's just like a little sniff on each side. you know. And he gives me the extra bag, and I put it like in between my fingers. I hold it, like I'm cupping it a little bit, and I run back upstairs with the bowl of food too. So it looks like I picked up, I went down there to pick up a bowl of food, and I run upstairs. And when I get up there, the officer has got his hand out through the bars of his office, of what they call his bubble. He's got his hand out. He says, "Let me have it." And I look at him in his eyes and I said, "Yo, don't jam me up, man. I'm telling you, don't jam me up, man." He says, "Let me have it." And I put this bag of heroin in the cop's hand, in the officer's hand. I says, "There you go." I says, "Don't screw me over on this." And I watch him open it up. I'm standing there looking at him on the other side of his bars, and he opens it up. He sees the small amount, because things in prison are a lot smaller than they are on the street. So he sees the small amount and he says, "What the hell's this?" I said, "Yo, that's $25, man, in here." So I'm staring at him as he's looking at it. And he looks at me and he says, "What are you looking at?" I says, "I want to see what you're going to do with it." And he says, "Okay, watch this." I said, "Holy shit!" Right? I said, "This cop just did the bag of dope in front of me, man." So I was a little blown away by that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That definitely blew me away a little bit. So I go down to the end of the company and I give the rest of the dope to the guy I picked it up for. And I said, "Listen, he was a guy I could really trust." I said, "Listen, you need to hide that good right now, because I just gave the cop a bag of dope and he did it." So my buddy's like, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Listen, man, I think we're fine. He sniffed dope right in front of me." I says, he's not gonna come after us. He's not gonna try and bust us." The officer calls me back to the end of the gallery. He goes, "Get me another one." I said, "Yo, those are $25 a piece." He says, "Get me one more." So I get him another one. He does another one. So now at this point, I know this officer is really going to let me do whatever I want. This guy's going to let me do whatever I want. He's sniffing dope in front of me. And I don't know how long it is later, but I went down on the visit and I picked up a bottle of what they call leaky leak. Leaky leak is liquid angel dust. It's also called wet. It's just I pick up a little vial of liquid angel dust. Really, really crazy drug. Really, really strong drug. I bring it back up to my area, to my cell area, and a few of the guys that I was real close with. I said, "Listen, we're going to stay in from the yard tonight." I says, "And we're going to get dusted. We're going to smoke a little dust." So my man Taco was excited. This Mexican dude, that was his name, Taco. Taco says, "Yo, I always wanted to smoke dust fish, man." So you have to be careful with the drug angel dust, because it's, out of all the drugs I ever did in my life, it's something that really takes you far away from reality. It's something that takes you far away from yourself. I can't even explain it. It makes you feel like Superman. It's a dangerous drug to do. It's an extremely dangerous drug to do. And I wouldn't suggest that anyone do it. It's definitely more dangerous to do inside a prison as well. You know what I mean? When you're giving it to guys who have a tendency for violence, a tendency, for criminal behavior. But like I said, I'm young, I'm crazy, and we're trying to have fun. You know what I mean? And so I tell the guys that are going to smoke it with me. It's like 3 or 4 guys. I say, "Listen, don't go to the yard tonight. We're going to stay inside and we're going to enjoy it." And so, the way that you do liquid angel dust, there's few ways to do it, but one way that you can do it is take a cigarette and you just dip it into the liquid a little bit and then suck up on the filter, and the liquid moves up the cigarette. You let it dry and then you smoke it. And so I dip tacos in there. I give Taco a little bit. I give my man June a little bit. I give, a couple of guys, I give a little bit, and I smoke one myself. And then, we're all bugging out. We're all laughing. We're going crazy. Guys are tripping out in their cell. What's crazy is now they're high on angel dust and they're locked in their cell, which is, it's really a surreal experience. It's fucking nuts. And I don't know what I was thinking, man. I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm running around, helping guys out because they're all locked in, and I'm the porter, and I'm out on the company, dusted, running around. Everyone's running around, and I go back to check on Taco, and Taco got his head in the toilet bowl. and he's holding the Bible in his hand. Right. And I'm like, yo, Taco, what are you doing? He's like, I never smoked anything like this. I said, well, get your head out of the toilet bowl. Why do you have your head in the toilet bowl holding the Bible? He's praying to Jesus that the feeling goes away, you know. So the officer sees that, he can look down the company and he sees that there's some craziness going on. So he calls me up front, Fish, get up here for a minute. So I run up there, yo, what's up? So he's like, what the hell's going on down there? You guys are up to something. I said, nah, we're all right. We're good. He says, nah, you guys are up to something. So I already know the officer's cool because I watched them sniff dope before. So I told him, nah, I says, we're smoking a little angel dust. He says, angel dust? He said, what do you mean? I said, PCP, man, a little PCP. He says, let me see it. I never saw it before. I said, you want to see it? So I go get the bottle, and I bring it up front, and I show it to him. He says, let me take a hit of that. So I said, nah, you don't want to smoke none of this, dude, especially while you're working, man. You don't want to smoke none of this. You're crazy. Nah, let me see it. Let me see it. And I'll tell you, this was in Attica, too. So we're in a real serious prison, right? Real serious prison. And so he says, come on, let me see it. So I take one of his cigarettes and I dip the cigarette in it just a little bit. He says, what's it going to do to me? So I says, it's going to be like you smoke some really, really intense marijuana, you know? And so he says, how do I do it? I told him, just take one or two hits off of the cigarette. That's it. And he does right in front of me. He lights, he smokes, he takes a few hits. So now I say to myself, let me go hide the rest of this in case anything goes wrong. So I run down the company, I stash it, I hide it. And by the time I get back up to check on him, he's sitting in his chair. He got a chair like this. He's sitting in his chair. He took his uniform off. He's profusely sweating. And he looks at me and he goes, Fish, you told me this is like marijuana. It ain't like marijuana. This ain't like, I said, listen to me, dude, listen to me. I said, you got to put your uniform back on, button it up, tuck your shirt in, go wash your face with cold water and get your act together because you're going to freak out and you're going to lose your job. You understand? Get your act together right now. So I get him in shape because he just keeps repeating, it's not like marijuana. It's not like marijuana. And so thankfully I got him together and he made it through his shift and he made it through the evening. But that was an experience with him. He actually ended up, getting fired, not because of me and not because of anything we did. He got fired because we were allowed to have televisions in the prison. And sometimes guys would get their TVs confiscated because they bought them on the black market. They didn't have a permit for the TV. Usually you go to commissary, you purchase a TV, they give you a permit that you hang on your wall to show that that's your TV. But some people would buy TVs on the black market and then they didn't have a permit for it. And the officer was selling fake permits, and he was also selling black market TVs at a lower rate to guys that couldn't afford them. And one of the prisoners got upset about this and ratted him out and set him up. And they ended up getting him out of there. So that was the last I ever saw him. But that was a little story about the getting high with one of the correctional officers.